Once upon a time, in a bustling village nestled beside a calm river, lived a young man named Ethan. Ethan was bright, ambitious, and full of dreams. He worked hard, always striving for more, believing that true happiness lay just beyond the next achievement, the next possession, the next promotion. He collected accolades and material comforts, filling his life with things he thought would bring him joy. Yet, despite his outward success, a persistent, gnawing emptiness lingered within him. It was a subtle feeling at first, a whisper of discontent, but over time it grew louder, a hollow ache that no amount of success or acquisition seemed to fill. He'd often find himself staring blankly at his meticulously curated home, or at his reflection after a long day, wondering why, with all he had, he felt so incomplete. He tried to ignore it, to busy himself even more, to chase new excitements, but the feeling was relentless. It seeped into his relationships, making him impatient, always looking for something more, something different. It colored his perception of the world, making the vibrant hues seem a little duller, the sweet melodies a little less harmonious. He was like a thirsty man trying to quench his thirst with salt water. The more he drank, the thirstier he became. He was constantly pursuing, yet never truly arriving. His mind was a whirlwind of future plans and past regrets, rarely settling in the present moment. He held on to every worry, every slight, every expectation, as if letting go would mean losing control. He didn't realize that the very act of clinging was what was keeping him in this state of perpetual wanting, this profound sense of lack. One day, while walking by the river, lost in his thoughts, he stumbled upon an old, gnarled tree. Beneath its shade sat an elderly woman, her eyes serene, a gentle smile playing on her lips. She was simply sitting, observing the flow of the river, radiating a quiet contentment that deeply intrigued Ethan. He watched her for a while, curious. There was an air about her that spoke of peace, a stark contrast to the turbulence within him. He felt an inexplicable pull to approach her, a silent invitation in her calm presence. He realized in that moment that all his efforts to fill his emptiness from the outside had been in vain. Perhaps, he thought, the answer lay not in getting more, but in understanding something different. He felt a flicker of hope, a small spark in the vast emptiness, that perhaps this wise woman held a key to the peace he so desperately sought. Ethan approached the woman cautiously, a little unsure of how to begin. She looked up, her eyes twinkling kindly. "You seem burdened, young man," she observed, her voice as gentle as a summer breeze. Ethan, surprised by her perceptiveness, found himself pouring out his heart, speaking of his relentless pursuit of happiness and the persistent emptiness that plagued him despite all his achievements. The old woman listened patiently, nodding occasionally. When he finished, a long silence hung between them, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the gentle murmur of the river. Finally she spoke. "You are carrying a heavy load, Ethan, but not of things you own. You are carrying the weight of what you don't have, of what you think you need. It is like trying to hold on to mist. The tighter you grasp, the less you have." She paused, her gaze fixed on the flowing water. "Do you see how the river flows, always moving, never clinging to the banks, never holding on to the water that has passed? It simply is. Your emptiness is not a void to be filled, but a space to be understood. It is the echo of what you cling to, a reminder that true fulfillment cannot be found in external things, but in the release of attachment. Ethan frowned. But how can I let go? It feels like if I stop striving, I will lose everything. My identity, my purpose. The old woman smiled gently. Letting go is not about giving up or becoming passive. It is about understanding that true abundance isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by what you are willing to release. It's like a bird in your hand. If you clench your fist too tightly, you might hurt it or cause it to flee. But if you open your palm gently, it may choose to stay, or it may fly freely, and either way, you have not lost its essence. She continued, the Buddha taught us that much of our suffering comes from craving and attachment. We cling to desires, to outcomes, to ideas of how things should be, and when reality doesn't align with our expectations, we suffer. The emptiness you feel is the space between your clinging and the natural flow of life. To truly heal, you must learn to loosen your grip, to find peace not in what you acquire, but in the freedom of not needing to acquire. The old woman then shared a story, her voice soft and resonant. There was once a monk who carried 2 large, heavy bags wherever he went. One bag contained all the good deeds he had done, and the other, all the bad deeds he regretted. He walked hunched over, his back aching, his steps slow and labored. One day, his teacher observed him and asked, "My son, why do you carry such a burden?" The monk replied, "Master, these are my life's experiences, my merits and my mistakes. How can I possibly discard them? They are who I am." The teacher gently smiled and said, "You are not your deeds, my child. You are the awareness that observes them. Let go of the need to cling to the past, both good and bad. The good deeds have already brought their fruit, and the bad deeds have taught their lessons. To carry them endlessly is to deny yourself the lightness of the present moment." The monk, after much contemplation, began to understand. He slowly began to lighten his load, not by forgetting, but by accepting and releasing. With each item he mentally set down, he felt a profound sense of relief, a newfound freedom in his stride. He realized that true liberation wasn't about erasing his past, but about no longer being defined or weighed down by it. "This, Ethan," the old woman continued, "is the essence of letting go of emptiness. It is not about becoming empty in a negative sense, but about creating space within yourself. When you hold on to past grievances, future anxieties, or the constant need for more, you fill your inner world with clutter, leaving no room for peace, for joy, for what truly matters. The emptiness you perceive is often a signal, a quiet invitation to release what no longer serves you. It is in this release that true healing begins. It is like an old adage says, the heaviest burdens are the unsaid words, the unwept tears, and the unlived dreams. By acknowledging and gently releasing these, you create room for self-compassion, for understanding, and for genuine connection with life as it unfolds. So, how do we begin this journey of letting go? Ethan asked, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. The old woman smiled. It starts with mindfulness, Ethan. The simple act of noticing what you are holding on to without judgment. Just like the river knows to flow, you too can learn to let go of what weighs you down. When you find yourself caught in a whirlpool of worries or clinging to a past hurt, simply acknowledge it. Observe it without resistance, like watching a cloud drift across the sky. Don't fight it, don't try to push it away. Just acknowledge its presence. This is the first step towards creating that inner space. She continued, then comes acceptance. Accepting what is, rather than wishing it were different. This doesn't mean condoning wrong or becoming passive, but rather acknowledging the reality of a situation as it is, not as you want it to be. Many of our internal struggles come from resisting reality. When you accept, you stop fighting what is, and you free up an immense amount of energy that was previously spent in resistance. This creates a fertile ground for inner peace. It's like the saying, what you resist persists. By accepting, you allow things to pass through you, rather than getting stuck within you. Finally, she concluded, her gaze sweeping across the tranquil river. It's about compassion. Compassion for yourself, for the struggles you've faced, and for the journey you are on. We are often our own harshest critics, adding to our burdens with self-blame and judgment. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Recognize that everyone, including you, is doing their best with the understanding they have at any given moment. This self-compassion is the gentle hand that helps you release the tight grip of self-criticism and open yourself to healing. Remember, healing is not about becoming a new person, but about rediscovering the true self that lies beneath the layers of accumulated burdens. It is a continuous process, a gentle unfolding, one story, one truth, one moment at a time. The more you practice letting go, the lighter you become, and the more vibrant life appears, filling the perceived emptiness with genuine joy and purpose.